All right. Hello, my name is Kiera Peffly. I am a Miami Valley Career Technology Vet Science senior. My project is about shelter adoptions and what brings people to adopt. So this project was aimed to find out what lures people into actually adopting animals. What truly brings out the desire for people to adopt a shelter animal instead of buying from a breeder. The key to figuring out how to reduce this is within the shelters themselves. So how people come to adopt from them. There are many ways you could go about collecting the data for this. One of them would be going to the shelters themselves and asking for their adoption records. The other would be looking them up online and doing extensive research through other studies. It's apparent that kennels use pictures in many different kinds of virtual and in-person events, primarily to get the animals adopted. And the photos and videos that show the animals more energetic and happy are more likely to get those animals adopted versus the pictures that show of them sad or not as energetic. Shelters are always bustling and busy, people rushing through to drop off a stray animal or to drop off their animal that they can't care for anymore. Shelters often resort to using social media and the modern technology in order to try and get these animals adopted. They want to use these platforms to reach out to more people since social media is so big and famous nowadays. This affects our entire society and not just the agriculture side. The shelters often hold stray cats and dogs, but some of these dogs and cats often have families that are looking for them. And according to an article that I read, animal shelters play a vital role in our communities. They reunite pets with their owners, shelter those in need, and find new homes for animals that are lost and without a permanent home. And for our own safety, shelter animals that shouldn't be roaming around the streets and shouldn't be in public. In an earlier research in 2015, it says that only 10% of participants on their online study use hashtags that are pet specific, which include like a dog or a cat. But people who are have adopted before are more likely to use these hashtags in order to raise awareness about the rewards of adopting. While researching into what this brings people to adopt, photos often influence the people, bringing many more people to adopt rather than going to a shelter itself, because many view it as sad or depressing. They often post pictures and videos of the animals within their shelter. Out of an online survey, 38.3% of people looked for an animal's behavior with people, 41.2% looked at their appearance, and 28% adopted based on the animal's personality. The photos impacted over half of adopters, bringing 65% of adopters to view photos before adopting, and 64% of them said that the photo helped them choose their animal. It was primarily the photo that encouraged them to adopt. Using this evidence, shelters rely on the appearance of an animal, making it cleaner and happier in the photos just so that more people will come to adopt their animals within the shelter. Looking through local clinics for more clarification, I saw that in person, only 4 cats and 2 dogs were adopted, and 8 cats and 7 dogs were adopted online through Robin's Nest in Germantown. Many shelters are resorting to online events due to COVID-19 in order to get more animals adopted while we're in a global pandemic. A virtual event called MFV 2021, which stands for My Furry Valentine, is a virtual event that relies solely on photos in order to get adopted. So they look through catalogs of the animal's personality, their looks, how they are with other people and other animals. And if you were to adopt through them, they would enter you into a raffle, and that would encourage more people to join because then you get extra goods just for adopting an animal. The reasons these shelters have to try so hard are because many people want to buy from a breeder. Millennials are more likely to believe that shelters are uninformative or depressing or sad to be in, while the newer generations are more concerned about psychological issues with the shelters themselves, so the animals within the shelters. This being said, the newer generations are more likely to adopt an animal through a shelter rather than from a breeder themselves. For this project, not a lot of materials were needed. It was just gathering research, going to other shelters, other clinics, searching up extensive research on past projects about this, Collecting the data was rough, but driving out to surrounding areas, to the shelter workers, and calling them if it wasn't close was kind of the fun part of the project, getting to talk to the shelters themselves. After collecting the data, it was time to look on the websites and all the other past articles based on this project. After collecting all the data and sorting through it, it was time to start writing the essay and creating the exhibit, organizing everything and completing with the accuracy at my best ability. This graph shows the percentage and how many people adopt an animal based on online photos and shows the most important details. So it shows the 65% of adopters and how 64% of them adopted based on the photo. And this graph shows the adoption rates for the individual breeds through an app, Pet Finder, which solely relies on the photos, and a lot more people were based on adopting through there. According to the research I've done, my hypothesis is correct. Looking at the individual websites and talking to the shelters, it's become very apparent that people solely rely on the photos and personality of the animal. The data shown through the research project supports the hypothesis that people look for certain physical traits and not only their appearance, but their personality as well. Others who may do this project may come to the same conclusion even if the data varies because it can be in different parts of the world. These are the references that I have, and there's another slide that has them. All right. And then I acknowledge MVCTC for giving me the opportunity to do this research project.